Okay, I saw there's some student joining the class. Then I will start right now. Here just record the lecture we have before talk about. So we talk about methods, about Happy.js, how to create our Happy.js API server to handle the requests. And in the sample code, we talk about all those like path is about the endpoint, and handlers are the functions to execute. And mainly when we're learning for using from the sample code, we'll see we saw the most common will be two methods. One's get, one's post. The get is mainly for retrieve the data, and when we do create our methods, we're passing maybe some parameters through the URL, and the post we try to create some new resources, and put method mainly is for using update existing resources, and delete will be used for remove resources. Okay. Even though we do have different methods, but in practicals, most of the time you see we're using get and post, and most of the time. Even though we say update the existing using put, but we can change the method using post, and then retrieve to update the send the request to the database and update the data. Okay. And here's the structure. If we look at into details, so all the server route will be passing in this format is one of it. So mainly the method we need to together get and path and handler. So sometimes when we handle UAC, we use the asynchronous to return the data, and return is always the data or the format. Most of the time we can return as an array or an object or object array. So it depends how do we declare. Sometimes we can return as a code like header. That's what we can define. Okay. And when we post it, also we can have a same path name. If we have different method, using a path name is still okay. But if we are using same method, then we are not allowed using the same path. And how do we retrieve the data is through the request payload. So the payload will be the JSON format we upload to the server. Okay. That's what you need to implement like in the lab, and maybe later in your project. Also, you need to handle a lot of data like post to the server, so you can retrieve through the payload. And last time we also let you to try to pass the data through the parameter. So the first one called the parent.id, and then or the one I gave you the example is using construct and then passing it as an object. So all this you can pass the using put. Here is the ID, and then contain with the data is the payload. Okay, so you will see is combining with the get and then the post methods. Okay. And when we different handle, or sometimes when we need to delete the data, then we have a methods. We passing through the ID, and then we just return the header with the response code. Is let's say 2004, and it means successful delete. And of course, we need to take certain action and connect to the database, and then validate. Okay, is the database return correct value? Okay, but this one, because it's only the Happy.js, the API server, so we didn't talk about the database. Okay, and mainly if we know all the basic methods handler, then we need to know, or like when we implement, because when we create the API server, that means like we are opening one of the port gateway, and we are allowing others maybe open to public. Also, is a chance for attacker to access to your computer. Okay, so far for a security issue, mainly the cloud provider, that means the service we using, let's say we are using the AWS, they were taking care of the infrastructure security. Okay, so you will see the firewalls, right, and also like some key password. So they will handle the basic infrastructure. But as a customer, that means we are the user, then we need to take care of the application security. So we need to take care of everything right here. And sometimes they do have some like security twists, because like when we create the API server, that means like based on how we declare, we create a threat. The threat, that means that there's some potential risk they can allow them to attack. So just be aware of, like they may be able to do like data breaches, like the DDoS attack, and or like the insider twist. So all these are possible. So when you try to implement and try to avoid those potential weaks, or like eliminate, then we can try to apply to some features, like use that for Happy.js to increase the security level. So one is called the input validation, and then authentication or authorization. That's what we can do. Here we introduce the library, the package we are going to use is a JOI, the joy. So the joy is help us to validate the input. So if we need to use it, then you need to like using npm install it, and then require it. First here, if you look at the schema, we can create the joy object. So with the schema. So the schema, we declare two variables. So when we pass the data name and email. So right here we say, okay, we will check it's a string. So both of them, they're string. Okay. And then you say it's a meme. So it means like, okay, we need to check at least the username will be at least 3 characters. So minimum at least 3. And we put required. Required, that means that they have to input it. Okay. If it means without the name, that means invaded. Okay. And then we check it is in email format. We couldn't validate the email is like exists or like it's correct, but at least we will validate the email format. That means that you should have a name, account name, and then with the service provider and .com. Let's say if you're using Gmail, Outlook, email, school email, and then .com. So like that. And then we also put required, so we will check to validate. So you will see right here. And when we move on, I would like to show you, I already upload all the source code for the Happy with the example. So if you need to execute with the Joy, then you're able to see. It's pretty similar, so you can just start the Happy.js server, and then require it. And then when you start it, so we do the same start as like same server, port localhost port 3000. And once you start, so once I submit to the server, I will validate from the payload. Okay. So in the payload, then I will return the payload and say, okay, I receive it. So in this payload, I will validate. So one of the version you see, I use the schema, and also if I want to implement for the specific route, then we can put the comma and then add the option. So it's saying, and then validate payload and then add the object. So of course, we can change it to the schema. So it really depends on which way you would like to do. So right here, I will start the server and show you how it works. I forgot to initialize. So sometimes if you create a new server, then you need to start to install the package. So this time I need to install the happy.js and then the Joey. So that's what you need to do. Okay, so right now I already installed the package. And right now I start the server. Okay, so the server, I only have one single route. So this route is a post method. So the post method is not retrieve the data, so we cannot directly using our clone to send it. Sometimes we need to use a command or using the postman. So here is the common post format, post the bot with the payload using post method. So we define is a post, and then I send it to my local host with my path. Of course, if you need to send to your AWS EC2 server, then you need to change it this one, and then maybe you have another different path name, and you can change it. And then with the header, I need to declare I passing the JSON format. And then with the data, okay, so the data format I pass it with the name, and then with an email. So this one you should receive once I post it to the server, and then you will receive status code 400 and then back request, available request payload input. Okay, so the reason why we receive this message because we use the Joy to validate our payload name. So because we declare the minimum should be 3, but this time I only upload 2 characters. So that's why it's not working. If I change to, let's say, A, B, C, D, okay, then you're able to see it. Right now we return the correct return message is called the data received, and then here's my payload content. So you see right here, because I try to just like using a JSON string define to return the request payload back, return it back. Okay, so it helps us to validate. Okay, it's correct. I able to submit and pass the validation. And let's say if I want to validate the email, if the email, let me move. Okay, so because we try to use the function called if I remove the .com like this, so you will see we will receive the same bad request because when we validate, it should match the format. So even I don't use the using Gmail, but at least if you know how do we validate the email format, it should be come with the username, some account, and then add, and then with the domain. So if you know the structure, then of course when we pass it, we are able to send it to the server. But maybe you ask a question, okay, but for these emails, it's supposed it is like incorrect. For this one, we are mainly validate is the input, but not the is it really exists? Like we just validate the format. Is it match to what we need? Because when we need to pass let's save it to our database, then we need to like make sure the format is correct. But how can we validate like those content is correct or like it match into your actual person? Then we do need to have other methods. For example, if you pretty common when you input your email address and then the server side, the company, the website you send you the validation email, that you need to click on the button or click on the link, so they will validate. So of course you can implement the function like this and send the email to let the user to validate if the email is correct or not. So once they validate, then you can confirm the email is correct or like make the status not yet confirmed. So that's how it works. And if you are interested, maybe you need to use it for your project, then you need to use more, then you can search the official website, and also they will give you some example. So right here, they will telling you we can like insert the options, edit right here, so we can validate. And we are not only with the minimum, and we do have a maximum. Okay. So like we can, so this one we check the length, like minimum 3, maximum is 10. And then also sometimes we can modify the input. And if we do have a query parameter, so if you remember in the last lab, I talked about if we had a query. So we also can able to validate the query. So this one we can check. So just like you need to define that, okay, are we validate the parameter? Are we validate the query? Or are we validate the payload? So based on different method, we can declare, so which parameters are you going to validate? Okay. And sometimes you can edit the headers to like to make work on the header, then you'll know, okay. So the way we create the cookies. So here we talk about the cookies. So the cookies is one of the pretty common way, maybe for login. So we holding the section, so we can allow the user have a faster to retrieve, instead like every time I have to send the user ID. Sometimes it's not a good habit, like always posting to the link using the sending their user ID. So it's like exposing your like some user data information. So one of the methods is called the authentication. So it's called the happy cookie. So you can use the function called the npm install happy cookie. Okay. So this cookie we can declare once the authorized strategy. So this one we have a cookie section, and then it's secure. So we can change it to true if you need to make it like in production. And also we can redirect to the login. So this one is like, okay, if we need to implement a login section, then you can do it in this one. And after we say, then we can set the same method like get and then page login. So this one, for return, maybe we can return a redirection. Sometimes like if you are login successfully and then you don't want to export your website's path or like the directory, then you can using this one. Even you can redirect, okay, which page you're going to redirect. So here's one, and then we need to like make sure like when we need to advance the security measures, so maybe we need to make our API server like in high security, so we need to add those like validation of us and then validate it. And also we need to handle with the encryption and then the data protection. That's really important. Because on the API side, that means your server including the data security. So all the users, like all those records, they are like purchased maybe they check also maybe some like bank information, credit card information, their address, phone number. So you will store all the sensitive personal information. So it's really important. If you pay attention to those like security issue or news, like how many bank like expose their customer data. Okay, and one way we try to increase that using the HTTPS, or sometimes we have the rate limiting, or one thing we try to do right now is try to validate the user input. And this is how we can do. And one more is we can use, it's called the JWT. So this one is authentication. So this one is trying to generate a JSON web token. So for secure the API communication. It's also is a library under Happy. So it's a Happy JWT. So all this, like when you install Happy, it's just a server, but if you need to use other library, you need to install them separately. And here will be how can we set it up? So it's a similar way. So you can like require it and then set the JWT, and then it's a strategy we can use. So sometimes we need to create a new file with our key and a validate. So validation, we have the like decoder and request. So if we are able to whether they are successful, then we turn back, then we can pass it or we direct to another path. So right here we will say, okay, if we able to redirect, so the strategy, so it's correct, and we have a protected route. That means like for a certain path, we don't want to let the user really or like click on the link and set it no. So this one will be handled by the API server side. So the server can protect the route. And after we validate it, then we will redirect to this one. So it will be the format. So sometimes we can have like validate through the endpoint by securing it. Is we can add the option. So we can add one more option, and then we add the authorization. So using the JWT. So the JWT able to help us to validate. Okay, so make sure it's like validate. Okay, so using the key, the secret key. So this one, when we send the user data, then we will receive it. Okay. So here's the basic two main things we're going to use for our class. I know in the last lab, some students, they are still confusing how to pass the parameter and not able to compute everything. So right here, I just introduced two more things. It's about the joy and JWT. And I will let you to finish yours like in this lab session. And you can like spend some time. If you have some question, you can ask me, or if you want to do it by your own, then you can feel free to leave. If you have a question, you can stay here and ask me. I will help you to fix it. So just a review of last time. But I mentioned about the passing the parameter, right? So the parameters we need to use just there you have the passing the parameter through the params, or like using query, or we need to pass it by the payload. So that's what you need to implement, because the one I gave you, most of the get method. So you need to implement one more method is using payload. And how can you retrieve the data using payload? And last time we just let you to test how can you pass it to your API server, right? So this time you need to connect to your MongoDB and try to, if you can receive it, can you execute using a find method and get it? Last step I did help some students, they're able to retrieve the database server, like passing the ID or search it. But if some of you still have problem stuck over here, then you can keep on working this part. If you able to follow steps, then you can refer the sample code I already upload to you right here. Then you should able to see the some examples, and you will able to see, okay, all this. Like, let's say I want to secure the endpoint, so I put the code right here. So then how can you put it add to your system? Then I will give you a let time to experience, or how can you do that? You can try, and then I will help you to make it works. Okay. And when you are doing this, I would like to share the structure. Because when we try to create the server, you see the authorization. I'm not going to like put everything together. So you will see I will let's say I will create the configs, like something with the doc environment. I will hide my so the doc environment is help me to hide the URL link. And then authorization, I will just really check, do I have a token? If no, I validate the token right here, authorize. And we have the route. Let's say I will put down this a model. So the model itself, I using Mongoose, and I have a schema. So if you know the schema, I'm using the JOI. And then I have the book.js. So this one is the running a server. So I will add the schema and then join right here, and then start if I start the server, then I can like export as a initialize it, and then with initialization, I start with my like to server route. So this one is a more like complex way to create, and then in the main I using a index.js. So you will see I try to include the happy.js and Mongoose. Mongoose, this what I introduced in the last lab. In the previous code, I used a MongoDB. So I'm telling you, actually we have multiple options to choose. And the MongoDB will that's what we try to connect. So here we will check the port. So right here, actually the .json is like just declared with the configuration, and set up the path or the port. If I didn't send it, then I will save it as a 3000 localhost, and I allow the course and connect to the MongoDB. So this one I set the URL link. So this is how I start my server. So once I start the server, you will see I have two routes. Okay, and I do try to implement a HTML page like to test my my URL. So you are feel free to install this one, or of course, because we are working on our web page, so you are able to test it using your website. Okay. So far we even though we only have really short code, but when you need to integrate or like apply all these things, add it with your into your happy JS server, I believe you do have lots of question and problem. So you can do it right now, or you can ask me any question if you have any issue with it. So you may be allowed to share your screen. I can help you. Please let me know if you have any question. If no, then I give you some time to work on your the source code. So try to compute the parameter, like passing the ID, post, and then get, and then retrieve the data. And for the next lecture, because I want to talk about the happy JS, but maybe you are not even really familiar with the MongoDB. So mainly it's that you should able to pass it to your different type of parameter, like the parameter query, and then your payload. If you're able to do that, and then next lecture I will cover one lecture. The lecture will be talking about the MongoDB, some queries. So how can you save it, looking it, then you will have a complete like development cycle. Is that how can you develop a website and then send a request to the API server? So once your API server receive it, how would you handle it? So, and maybe you need to do some calculation. There's some processing, validation, checking, and then you will save to the database. Or you need to get the data from the database and then have some processing and then save it back and then return the final result back to the client. That means the website. Okay, so here's the structure. I'll see if you have any question. If you have no question, if you want to like do it by your own, you feel free to leave. If you want to stay, you feel free to stay. So I will stop the sharing. So and allow, let me change the sharing option. So if you have any problem, you can feel free to share your screen and ask me. Okay, so right now I will stop my sharing. And please let me know if you have any question. In case if you want to look at the examples I have right here, then you can refer it. So I keep on sharing my screen so you can look at it and try to follow it. Okay. Of course, you can also download all the source code from the MyD2L. So I give you some times. Okay. If you have no any other questions, and you are feel free to leave the class, and that's it for today. And thank you for joining. I will end the sharing right now. So if you have any question, feel free to ask me or send me the email or send make an appointment so I can help you to work on your code. And just be aware because your project I already created a group. Before end of it, just remember I already tried to create a group for your web programming. So you need to maybe last time I say 2 or 3. If you really need, I say maximum would be 5 students. So you can join a group and then start to plan about. I will post the first bill you need to like for when you're working your assignment. Then actually for the project we have a part 1 and part 2. And also the coming assignments during soon, so the next week. And for the project, I will upload the guidelines. So at least you need to like give the document design and then create the basic like web page, API server, and then MongoDB. So at least you have like showing me all the components like they're working fine. Then it's okay. It's part 1, and then for part 2 is that you have to complete the whole design and then your for your project, and then with detailed documents. And that's it for today's class, and thank you for joining. Okay, bye.